Welcome back to the Redshirts Fantasy Football Podcast. We are back. It is Friday. This release in your podcast app on Saturday. I'm joined by Matt Okada. I'm joined by John Helmkamp. Boys, we made it to the weekend, and it's time to talk football. What could be better? How are you guys doing on this Friday evening?
Friday evening? I'm hoping to do some frying.
Friday evening, boys.
Eat some French fries. Actually, you know what? Some French fries sound really good. I might go get In-N-Out after this recording.
You know what? I would, but I have my children, so I might Postmate that. We'll see what happens.
Does In-N-Out Postmate?
Yeah.
Really? I don't know if they do that where I live.
It Postmates over here.
I also don't use Postmates,
the Phoenix Valley.
I might not know.
Okay, you West Coast losers. What is Postmate?
You don't know? Okay, what?
No.
Postmates is not on the East Coast?
No, I've never heard of that in my life. DoorDash, yeah.
Grubhub?
It's not.
Grubhub, same idea.
Okay, apparently, I did not know Postmates was a Western thing.
I didn't either. It has been kind of newer, like in the last couple of years, is when they kind of came on. But you can do more than just
all of them. But
you can do more than just food too. Like
groceries.
I did Postmates delivery for a stretch like a year ago, and I had someone that was like, "I want you to go to Walgreens and I need you to buy me 16 cans of Lysol spray." And I'm like, I'm very concerned about what's taking place in that house, but I will do it. Very weird. And he gave me like a $50 tip. So I'm pretty sure I'm an accessory to murder.
Yes.
I'm
easily.
not
Don't ask questions.
Not entirely sure what happened there, but that was the thing. That was the thing that happened.
Wow.
Don't ask questions you don't want the answer to, John.
Yep. Nope. Don't want to know. Don't remember his name. Don't remember the address. I'm out.
Yeah, that's fine. Hey, welcome to the Redshirts Fantasy Football Podcast, sponsored by Postmates, apparently.
Hashtag not a sponsor.
Yeah. Fellas, I am super excited for tonight's show. We have a fun segment planned for this episode. We are talking buy or sell fantasy football edition. So the idea of tonight's show is we are going to bring a prediction, a theory, what have you, to the table, and the other podcast hosts are going to say, I buy that, or no, man, I don't buy that at all. So hopefully you can engage with us here on Twitter. Follow us at Redshirts FF Pod. Let us know what you think about these theories and these predictions. Follow us on Instagram, same handle, and Facebook as well at Redshirts FF Pod. And fellas, I got some news for you today. I sent the video to our Slack channel. I also sent it to our group chat. That Davante Adams signed jersey just came in the mail today.
So green.
Is there a way for me to enter the giveaway? Because that thing is sweet.
Pretty sure not.
Because if there was, I'd already be in. That thing is so spicy. It's wonderful. However you want to display it, it's perfect. It's beautiful. It would make great for a square frame hanging like right over your head if you're recording anything, which is why I want it. It's awesome. That jersey is sick. It's their dark green and white lettering jerseys. It's super fresh.
Now, I do have to ask this question. What are your guys' take on wearing a signed jersey to a game?
I don't do it.
Or ever at all?
Never at all. I'm never wearing it.
What if it was a Super Bowl and you were having a Super Bowl party at your house?
Nope.
All right.
Okay. If I'm having if it's a Super Bowl, are you saying like a Super Bowl signed jersey? Like you pay the
no. Like you just have a Russell Wilson signed jersey and he's playing in the Super Bowl.
No. I'm hanging it right next to the TV.
All right. Okay.
Like it is framed and going right next to the TV. If that's the case, if it's autographed, I'm not wearing it. I'm not.
I agree with that.
Damaging it in that way. You're buying autograph to display, in my opinion.
I would consider it if I wasn't guaranteed to get buffalo sauce on it if I did. So.
That's why you get the back number signed, so it doesn't matter what happens in the front. Yeah,
smart. All good tips for our listeners. If you want to win that Davante Adams signed jersey, the rules are simple. You get to retweet the pinned tweet on our page, like the photo on Instagram that details the giveaway, and then there's other ways you can enter. Drop a rating and review in your podcast app, or enter or subscribe, I should say, on patreon.com/redshirtspod. You get access to the Slack channel, bonus content, all that kind of stuff. And we got some big things coming for this season. So you do not want to miss out on that. Those are the ways to enter. Go ahead and do that. And we'll be giving that away sometime in June. So you have a couple more weeks to get in that contest. All right, fellas, not really anything going on news-wise this week. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to talk about our first prediction, and I'm going to kick it over to Okada. He seems like he has a good one to start with tonight. So Okada, give me your first prediction, and then we'll see if we're buying or selling this.
Oh boy, well, thanks a lot for setting me up. All right, here's what I'm going with. I kind of got themes to each of these. Well, one of them doesn't have a theme, but this one does. It's about free agents. The big three free agent running backs, Todd Gurley, Melvin Gordon, David Johnson, will all finish as top 17 running backs in 2020. Don't ask me why I went with that number. I don't know, but that is the number we're going with. Yes. Gordon, Gurley, and DJ, top 17.
No. I'm selling on that. I don't think it happens.
Who's out?
If I had to pick one that's out, it's Melvin Gordon because of the Philip Lindsay potential timeshare. I think that of all of those running backs, I think that Lindsay is the one that poses the most threat. David Johnson is going to get like all the carries. Duke Johnson will get some of the targets, but David Johnson's like their guy that's going to carry the ball. He's still going to be involved in the passing game to some degree. They don't have any receivers, so you might as well. I think that David Johnson, for volume alone, is a pretty safe bet to finish right there as a mid-range RB2. I think that that's fine. Todd Gurley, same thing. I think that they brought him in, and honestly, I was expecting Atlanta to invest some high draft capital in a running back, and it didn't happen because they only have Gurley on a 1-year deal. That's it. And then he's gone. So in my opinion, it kind of looks like they're just going to run Gurley into the ground and then discard him after one season and then address running back next year. So they're like, we're going to get all the offense out of this that we can. I need you to wait. Hold on. Sorry, children. They're going to get all the offense that they can out of Gurley in one season and then pretty much cast him aside. I think that Philip Lindsay makes the biggest dent into the workload of those three running backs.
I think that's
I'll be right back.
Fair. I will say I'm a little shaky about what's going on in Atlanta, man. I mean, you look at that depth chart behind Todd Gurley, and to John's point, I think the plan is we sign into a 1-year deal. That's all we're going to get out of you. Like, we might as well just run you into the ground. The depth chart is as follows: Brian Hill, Quadri Ollison. Yeah, not good for those two. No. And then the fourth one, Ito Smith. Not much better. I mean,
nope.
So that's a realistic possibility. The range of outcomes for Todd Gurley this year is unreal. Like, he has top 5 upside, but he could also finish like, running back 3 territory because of knee workload concerns and all that kind of stuff. So I can buy that this is in the realm of possibility for sure. I disagree a little bit on Melvin Gordon. I'm going to be bullish on Melvin Gordon this year because of the upgraded offensive weapons. I think the offense in general will be better. And I think if you're going to tell me they're going to give the ball to one guy inside the 20, it's got to be Melvin Gordon instead of Philip Lindsay, I think. So they paid him in free agency. Even when they had Philip Lindsay being effective, they still said, you know what, let's go spend money and let's get Melvin Gordon. So I think Melvin Gordon's in for a really solid year this season. I'll predict him to finish inside the top 15 when our ranks come out for redraft, I guarantee. But for Todd Gurley, man, it worries me. It could go any number of directions, and I wouldn't be shocked.
And David Johnson falls behind both those guys for you?
No, I think David Johnson's firmly entrenched inside the top 17 on volume alone. I mean, we saw Le'Veon Bell last year, who was abysmal, finish, I think, as running back 17 or 16 off the top of my head, and it was just on volume. He was terrible. 3.2 yards per carry, 3 rushing touchdowns, still finishes running back 17. Yeah, volume alone is going to get David Johnson inside the top 17.
Interesting. Well, I think I agree mostly with John, although I think that all three can do it. I'm kind of buying it myself, which I came up with it, so I'm kind of expected to buy it. It's going to be close, but for me, if it's going to be one guy who slips out, it's probably Melvin Gordon. I really do believe in David Johnson. I think I'm going to have him ranked probably the highest maybe of these three guys. Certainly in my top 15, Gurley will also be up there. For redraft, Gurley is really nice. I think this year is probably going to be a value if people are going off last year's performances. But Gordon is the one guy who I could see having, 175, 200 carries instead of 250 plus. And that is what concerns me a little bit. Although I do think his touchdown upside is there, to your point, Bet. So mostly we are fringe at best on this, but interesting that we have different running backs outside it.
Yeah, I think it could happen. Like, if it does, it wouldn't shock me. But I kind of look at these 3 running backs. All of them are kind of high risk. And I think the odds of all 3 of them hitting the best case scenario is low. Like,
Sure.
Something's going to happen to one of them. They're all kind of high risk. Gordon doesn't have injury history, but he held out for a year. The other 2 have been injured, banged up. David Johnson's already 28. I don't know when that happened. I feel like he just came into the league. Something I think is going to happen that's going to derail one or multiple of those seasons. So I would pass on it pretty much just for that.
All right, it seems like we're pretty much in agreement as far as selling that idea in general. Okada said he would maybe buy it. High level of confidence.
Maybe.
Selling the idea. I'm in on 2 out of 3 of those. I think it sounds like John is as well. Let's kick it back to John here. John, give me your first prediction here for 2020.
All right, I decided to go rookie themed on this one. And no, for all of our listeners, I have nothing to say about Jonathan Taylor today. I'm going to give that a little bit of a rest. If you need any more Jonathan Taylor content, DM me on Twitter and I'll go on and wax on poetically.
Oh my gosh, he will blast your DMs.
I will. It will happen. But no, I'm leaving that aside. I'm going some other rookies a little bit here. Little bit of a hot take, but I think the landing spot makes this an interesting conversation to have, and I'm very curious. This will make Okada very happy, and I'm very interested by this one. Brandon Ayuk will have more receptions than CeeDee Lamb in 2020.
Ooh.
Wow.
That's a tough one. So my initial reaction is that, yes, he's going to probably have a larger target share, but the 49ers are going to throw at a much lower clip than the Cowboys. And so the question is, how does the math work out and who ends up with more? I'm gonna buy it, and I'm probably
say that you're gonna sell it and change your mind.
No.
Kind of like you were like, I'm gonna buy it.
Here's all the reasons why I'm gonna sell it, and then I'm gonna buy. That's what
I think that Brandon Ayuk is a guy who's going to largely win off of volume in the short and intermediate range. Yep. So I think he could be a guy who has 80 catches pretty much out of the gate. CeeDee Lamb, I think he's going to be a guy. I wouldn't be surprised if he had more touchdowns. I wouldn't be surprised if he had higher yards per reception. But I would also not be surprised if he had 40 or 50 catches in this first year with the other guys they have on that team. So I'm buying it, John. I like it.
I mean, I'm going to start talking, and I don't even know which way I'm going to go yet. That tells you how difficult this is to actually think through. But as Okada was talking, I came to the conclusion, I think I'm going to sell this. Because, like Okada said, the volume as a team for passing the football in San Francisco, that's not their identity. I mean, they were only behind Baltimore last year in rush attempts in the entire NFL. So they want to run the football. Can Brandon Ayuk be effective? Yes, but specifically for this prediction with receptions, I think it's going to be lower this season than CeeDee Lamb, where Mike McCarthy historically just says, I don't care who my running back is. He's not getting the ball. We're going to pass the ball a lot, which actually in today's NFL is more advantageous from an analytics perspective anyway. So I think that is more likely to result in receptions for CeeDee Lamb. And when you look at kind of the target share distribution for San Francisco, I mean, we're probably expecting George Kittle to lead the way again this year. Yep. Debo probably number 2. I think the running back position as a whole, number 3. Okay, want to switch those 2 and 3, or do you think Brandon?
I think Ayuk could have more receptions than Debo Samuel as well. In fact,
I think so. I think you could too.
With the question,
I think you can too.
For me, I'm going to project that offense probably for him to be the 4th in that pecking order, and so I don't think the receptions are there for this year. That doesn't mean I don't like Ayuk. I definitely do, but for this season, I'll take CeeDee. John, what do you think?
Yeah, it's very interesting. CeeDee Lamb is my 2020 rookie wide receiver 1. He was pre-draft after I got over the initial shock of him being drafted to Dallas and sat back and thought about it more. He's still my 2020 wide receiver 1. But I think that he's my wide receiver 1 because I believe in his talent and I believe in the longevity and I believe that he's an alpha dog that's going to rise to the top with time. Now, where that starts is very interesting to me, and I'm not sure what his role is going to be in year 1 with Amari Cooper, with Michael Gallup, with a new head coach, with him being a rookie without having OTAs. I think it's very interesting. There's a lot of moving parts there, and I think it might take a little bit of time for CeeDee Lamb to kind of catch up to his hype and his potential. In San Francisco, it's Brandon Ayuk and Debo, and that's it for wide receivers. Like, that's all that they have. They traded away Marquise Goodwin, who wasn't really much of, or Godwin. Marquise Goodwin. I had it right the first time. Who really wasn't much of a threat for targets anyways. They traded up to get Brandon Ayuk early. High draft capital to take him. They like him. That makes me think that they've got a plan for him, and they think this is a guy that they want to get the ball into his hands in a multitude of ways. Jet sweeps, bubble screens, quick intermediate routes, short routes, all that stuff. I think it's entirely possible that Brandon Ayuk has more receptions than CeeDee Lamb in 2020. I think CeeDee Lamb has a better career. I think that CeeDee Lamb ends up potentially being a true number 1 wide receiver for that team in time. But in 2020 alone, I think I'm going to take that Brandon Ayuk having more receptions than CeeDee Lamb.
All right. I like it. It's definitely an interesting thing to think about. Yeah, man, I could see that going either way, honestly. Okada and John are in on Ayuk. I am in on CeeDee Lamb for more receptions this year. We'll see what the Twitter following thinks. All right, fellas, my first prediction for this year, we got 3 players to talk about with 1 prediction. All right, and it's the Atlanta Falcons. Now, we talked about Todd Gurley. He's not in this. We're going to talk about Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, and Calvin Ridley. Now, part of this prediction is Julio's a top 5 wide receiver, which we all agree that's going to happen. But I'm going to add to that and say Matt Ryan is a top 5 quarterback in fantasy, and Calvin Ridley is the top 15 wide receiver in fantasy this season. All 3 of those things are going to happen because here's why. We talked about Todd Gurley. We talked about the concerns with the workload and what is he going to be. We don't know. You know who else doesn't know? Dirk Cutter, the offensive coordinator. Here is the quote from yesterday.
I can't believe that Dirk Cutter is still an OC in the NFL, by the way. Can we just... Can we say that?
Yeah, he said, quote, the main question is that no one seems to know what is his health status? What's his workload? He averaged 17 touches per game last year, which is lower than what he had when he was an all-pro. We're just going to have to find out once we get in here and get him working, get him up and running, end quote. They have no idea. They have no idea. So the run game, we talked about the depth chart. It's Todd Gurley, it's Quadra Allison, it's Ito Smith, and Brian Hill. I mean, if Todd Gurley goes down or
it's not great, Bob.
It's not great, Bob. It's actually quite terrible. They're going to have to throw the ball literally on every single play. Matt Ryan has led the NFL in pass attempts, top 5, both these seasons, 2018 and 2019. Julio is obviously a beast. Calvin Ridley is on the upswing, I think. I mean, you look at this defense. My goodness. This is a bottom half defense. This is a middling offensive line. I don't think they can run the ball to save their life. Sure. And they're playing in the NFC South. Like, the scoring that's going to happen in that division, I want every piece of this passing offense on my fantasy football roster in 2020 because the game script is going to be very, very beneficial for the passing game. Matt Ryan has done it year after year after year. Julio is a top 3 talent at wide receiver in the NFL, and Calvin Ridley is making his way into the top 15 this season. Fellas, do you buy or sell?
Oh, listen. My first reaction was to sell pretty hard, and the main reason is I do not believe Calvin Ridley could be a top 15 wide receiver, and if he can't be a top 15 wide receiver, then it hurts Ryan's chances of being a top 5 quarterback. Now, I will say that Matt Ryan is due on his little seesaw thing that he does.
Oh, you're
4,900 yards, 35 touchdowns. Then he drops down, then he comes back up, then he drops down. Now he's due to come back up. So he's probably going to have 4,900 yards and 35 touchdowns, which makes him a top 5 quarterback. Just kidding. That's not really how things work. Listen,
but it is.
It totally is.
Is it possible? Yes. I think because Calvin Ridley is the key here. If he takes a step forward and becomes like one of the top. I guess, does he run out of the slot a lot? I don't really think he does.
Not a
I
ton.
think he's more of an outside guy, but he's kind of a unique sort of player. If he sort of takes a step up to become not Julio Jones, but sort of what Roddy White and Julio Jones were back in the day, where they were going to be wide receiver 2s or better, then Matt Ryan is going to do this. Do I believe that is going to happen? No. Can it happen? Yes. I'm going to sell because I don't believe enough in Calvin Ridley. Johnny boy.
I'm going to buy that this Atlanta offense is going to be a fantasy goldmine in 2020. It's an even number year, which means that Matt Ryan's going to be in the MVP conversation. That's basically how that works. I think that Todd Gurley, even though there's these questions about his workload and his potential, he's an upgrade at the running back position since Devontae Freeman was fully healthy in their Super Bowl run 3 seasons ago now. It's going to be the best number 1 option that they've had out of that backfield in a while. Now, granted, they used to run Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman together in this tandem option. And the number 2 running back, like you've already mentioned, is doo-doo on this offense. So something to consider. But I like that. I like Todd Gurley's opportunity as a receiving back out of this backfield, which I think is going to help them a ton. This is a division that is going to be like all track meets all the time. You've got a Joe Brady offense with DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, and Robbie Anderson in Carolina. You've got Bruce Arians, who finally has his favorite type of quarterback, which is an old and mobile veteran who distributes the ball well, to 2 very elite wide receivers. And, Gronk and Keyshawn Vaughn. And then you have one last ride, the Last Dance 2.0 in New Orleans with Drew Brees and getting the band back together there with Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas. This is going to be such an offense-driven division, and Atlanta's defense is terrible. They're going to have to try to win shootouts in like more than half of their games this year. So based on that, based on game script, based on it being an even number year for Matt Ryan, I'm gonna say I'm gonna buy it. I think it happens. I think that Calvin Ridley can absolutely be a top 15 wide receiver in this league, especially if he gets a lot of the volume and a lot of garbage time, which I think they're gonna face. So I think it's entirely possible. Sure, I'll buy it.
John, you're a very smart man. Okada, not so
okay.
Fellas, I'm going to take a quick break. Thank our sponsor of today's show. That is Nuts and More. Guys, listen, summer's coming up. It's time to get fit. It's time to stay healthy. But you know what? I love peanut butter so much, but it's so high in calories, right? So what do? You go to nutsandmore.com/redshirts. You get their peanut butters or almond butters, which are the best flavors I have ever had in my entire life. And they're packed with protein to support your active lifestyle. Super healthy, and really affordable as well, which is great. And with our code REDSHIRTS, you're going to save yourself 15% off your order. So go check them out, guys. You're not going to be disappointed. Delivered right to your door. That is nutsandmore.com/redshirts. Use code REDSHIRTS for 15% off your order today. All right, guys. Second, what's that?
I said I'm hungry.
Well, dude, use the code.
Get that in and out, man.
All right, Okada, we are back to you for your second prediction. Hit us with what you got here.
All right. You guys are gonna have to track with me on this one. All right. It's a little bit difficult to word, but I feel like it's interesting. In 2020, the highest finishing rookie wide receiver will still finish behind 3 2019 rookie wide receivers.
I got you.
At least. So just for your context, here are the top guys from last year. A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf, Darius Slayton, Deontay Johnson, Marquise Brown. Those are probably the guys in consideration. So at least 3 of those will beat out the best rookie from 2020 this year. Buy or sell?
Can I go first?
Go ahead.
I'm smashing buy on that. I have no problem admitting that the wide receivers in this class that we all love didn't land in really fantastic immediate producing roles. They are fine long term. We like their talent. We believe in the talent, and in Dynasty with wide receivers, you buy talent, not necessarily landing spot, because team makeup changes all the time. And it takes a while for wide receivers to really come into their own, like year 3 sort of stuff is generally what we're seeing. CeeDee Lamb does not have an immediate path to success, although he can be a stud in the future. Jerry Jeudy does not have an immediate path to massive production, although maybe he does in the future. Henry Ruggs, I don't know what the hell to do with Henry Ruggs. He could be nothing more than a deep threat Deshaun Jackson type, or he could be a playmaker that they want to get the ball to all the time in space. The play calling is going to determine a lot about what Henry Ruggs ends up being for fantasy purposes. You're talking about wide receivers last year that showed up, balled out, carved out good roles. We expect them to continue and grow on those roles going into this next season. My favorites being AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin as my top 3. Darius Slayton has a very solid role. Deontay Johnson was absolutely fantastic in his rookie campaign. I think all 5 of them beat out the top 2020 rookie wide receiver in production this year. I'm going to up your ante on that. I don't think it's close. I have all 5 of them finishing above the number 1 2020 rookie wide receiver.
Yes, I would also agree, and I would also buy the 5. I mean, those names you mentioned, Okada, are the future of the NFL as far as the stars of this game. Those dudes came out in their rookie year, and they do something that rookies just don't do. They all produced early in their career, early in the season. Like Terry McLaurin, the first 4 weeks was like a top 24 wide receiver. It doesn't happen.
Pretty sure Metcalf, he was top 18. Like he was cooking.
He was cooking, and it didn't help that he burnt the Eagles in week 1. So that was fun. But DK Metcalf coming into year 2. We all love AJ Brown on this podcast. I'm buying this all day. And if there was ever a year to buy it, it's this year, guys, with the COVID-19 stuff going on. We have no idea what training camp's going to be like. What are these rookies going to do as far as learning the system, learning the playbook, getting chemistry with their quarterbacks? Yeah, I would buy this 10 out of 10 times for sure.
Yeah. So you guys definitely took it a step farther because you went to 5. I think that a 2020 rookie will have a very good chance of finishing at 4th among these 2 groups, which is why I set it at 3. I think that Justin Jefferson.
I was going to ask. I was going to put a follow-up question in there.
I think that Justin Jefferson could beat out Debo and Slayton and Johnson and be the guy that comes in behind Brown, Metcalf, and McLaurin. Maybe Jeudy as well. I could see that happening, and could be Ruggs if everything falls his way. But I would lean away from that. But I think there's a good chance a 2020 rookie finishes 4th. You guys took it a whole nother step. Technically, you said 6th because you said 5 guys from last year will finish ahead. Yeah. So that's pretty crazy. Does this make it feel to you guys like AJ Brown's hard to buy because he's incredible? But are all these other guys that you would try to be just selling straight up your first round pick to get for sure?
I think, not all the guys.
The top 3, yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like McLaurin,
I would do DK, AJ Brown, and McLaurin. I would sell it first for those guys. Deontay Johnson and Darius Slayton, I really, really like, but I've got them more in that early to mid 2nd range, just a little bit lower, but still very, very talented. But I was going to ask the follow-up question on that. Who do you think the 2020 wide receiver, the rookie wide receiver is going to be?
Yep.
And I'm with you. I think it's Justin Jefferson out of the group that finishes as the wide receiver 1 from this class.
Yeah, that is interesting to think about. If you don't even have to be like a win now team. If you want production this season, and let's say you drafted Jerry Jeudy in your rookie draft, or you own the 105, 106 where he's been going. I mean, are you guys offering that pick for a proven guy who did it last year? Would you rather take DK Metcalf or Jerry Jeudy in Dynasty?
Ooh.
DK Metcalf. It's not even.
Yeah. Well, John's a huge DK Metcalf truther. Surprise, surprise. So that's
no bias whatsoever.
None. Totally unbiased here.
I think I would take Metcalf, but it's close.
Yeah, and we actually had a question come in from a listener asking about CeeDee Lamb or DK Metcalf, and we put up a poll on our Twitter. It was literally 51-49%. So close. So I agree. It's kind of a coin flip. But if you want production this year, I mean, those 2019 rookie wide receivers, I think are the way to go, especially knowing what they can do in year one and taking a step forward in year two. Yeah, I'm all about that. Good call on that one, Okada.
Can I throw a little blurb out there?
Yes.
Do you guys think that 2019 rookie wide receivers are going to have over 1,000 yards this year?
Yes.
Yep.
AJ, McLaurin are both going to for sure, and then just one of the other guys has to make it happen. So yeah I would say easily.
Yep. I agree.
Sweet.
All right, John, let's kick it back to you, man. Hit us with your second prediction.
Good conversations, boys. Fun stuff. Okay, I've got a spicy rookie running back take that does not involve one of the top two.
Ooh.
One Mr. Cam Akers will finish with more career rushing yards than J.K. Dobbins.
Oh, now we got to project for like 4 years.
Wow. More career rushing yards than J.K. Dobbins. I'll tell you what. I'll go ahead and answer this one because I'm the resident Cam Akers truther, and none of us are huge on J.K. Dobbins. Although I feel like I may be coming around a little bit more than the two of you guys. But on this specific question, I'm going to sell, and I'm going to say J.K. Dobbins has more rushing yards. Now, I think that I would still take Cam Akers for fantasy points, scrimmage yards, and maybe even touchdowns. But I think J.K. Dobbins, just on rushing yards, is able to edge Akers out total just because of the difference that the two of them have in play style and the teams that they're on.
I think I'm going to sell as well. And it's mostly like because you said the verbiage, right? The rushing yards. I mean, Baltimore, they want to run the ball on first, second, third, and fourth down if they can. I mean, they're going to run the ball every play. And we saw what Mark Ingram did at the age of, 29 or 30 last year. J.K. Dobbins comes in with fresh legs. His scheme fit is like a match made in heaven, right? With what he did last year at Ohio State with Justin Fields, the RPOs and the zone read and all that stuff. It's just a perfect translation with Lamar Jackson. So I think J.K. Dobbins, while I'm not a huge fan of the prospect in general, you can't not love this landing spot and think about it from a fantasy perspective. Yeah, he's going to have a ton of rushing yards, I think, and I'll probably project that for his career as well.
Let me ask you a follow-up question on top of that. Does it change your mind if Cam Akers has a 2-year head start on the starting gig?
2 years? That's a lot of time.
I would give him a 1 year, which is why I was able to stick with Dobbins. I think I still stick with Dobbins mainly because I honestly don't think that in the Rams offense, a running back is going to be a 1,100 a year kind of guy. I think it's going to be a 1,100, add a lot of receiving yards and score a lot of touchdowns. But in the Ravens offense, with a guy who we know is a production beast, I could easily see him being a 1,400-yard guy on a very frequent basis. So it won't take him too long to catch up.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's pretty sound. If it was 1 year, it's no question. With 2 years, it's tough. A little bit of a question. Are you, John? I'm going to kick it back to you real quick. Are you thinking that potentially Mark Ingram will be there for 2 years, or are you just putting it out there for the sake of discussion?
No, I think there's a realistic possibility that it can be. Mark Ingram seems like one of those running backs that is not going to go quietly into the night. Like True. This is not going to be one of those guys that's like, okay, I'm done here. We're just gonna hang it up. I mean, he kind of seems like one of these vets that could be plugging along at 32 years old, not in a bell cow role, but still around and still carving
Frank Gore 2.0.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
Mark Ingram seems like that guy, and they love bringing in Dobbins, and they're going to give Dobbins more and more carries. I think Mark Ingram has like 60% of the carries this year. Probably something along those lines until Dobbins kind of gets his leg under him. And then it's like a true split for the last like 4 weeks of the season, something like that. But I think that Ingram is back again next year. And I think that he's still hanging around, and they're going to like this little thunder and lightning hype man, big trust Mark Ingram in the locker room and everything that he brings that way. I just don't think Ingram's going to go quietly, and they love him in Baltimore. And if they can extend him on a bit of a team-friendly 1 or 2 year contract after, I could absolutely see it happening. So That, and they still got the Gus Bus there, who is not an elite prospect by any means, but he's going to carve in. And they've still got Justice Hill that they took last year. Is he just done? Or is he still going to factor into the role? I don't know. I think that everyone loves this landing spot because of scheme, and I get that. But I think that the room is a little muddier than people think that it is. And that's one of the reasons why I've got J.K. Dobbins as my rookie running back 5 in this class. I think that if any of these rookie running backs are going to end up busting, like any of these top 5 guys are going to be a straight bust, I think it could be J.K. Dobbins. And now it could go the other way, where he ends up taking over the bell cow duties in a run-first offense that fits his scheme great, and he balls. It could happen. Like, I get that too. I acknowledge both sides of the spectrum. But I think that J.K. Dobbins has a little bit more risk baked in than people are giving him credit for.
Yeah, I think that those are all fair points. I'll say for 2020, just kind of while we're talking about the Ravens backfield, I love Mark Ingram as a value this year.
Oh, yeah.
I just started my projections for the season. I've gone through like 6 or 7 teams, but the Ravens are one of the teams that I got through. And at the end of it, I was like, wow, Mark Ingram, like, didn't expect my projections to come out that way. I have him leading the backfield by quite a bit. And I think Dobbins is going to get work. Like, we saw Gus Edwards have like almost 700 yards rushing last year, and it didn't affect Mark Ingram at all. So how much they run the football, I think Mark Ingram is fine for this year. So a sneaky, like, mid to late round running back that's going to provide some RB2 value, I think, this year.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. My next prediction here, I'm not even going to say anything about it. I'm just going to say it and then see what you guys think. Adam Thielen is a top 12 wide receiver in fantasy football in 2020. Buy or sell?
Okada, you want a minute?
No, yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Okay. I'm selling. I don't think that he is. I think that this offense is going to go even further away from the pass with the departure of Stephon Diggs. I think that they know that they've got one of the elite bell cow running backs. Oh, and it's going to be very interesting with a new offensive coordinator in town, how they treat that backfield. Is this going to be a little bit more of a split than we saw when Stefanski was there, where it was literally just all Dalvin Cook all the time? Or is it going to be like, Dalvin Cook, you're on the last year of your contract and we want to keep you healthy a little bit, so we're going to start kind of edging Alexander Madison in a little bit more to break this up and go really run heavy? I think it's possible that that's a case that takes place this year. I also think that they love Justin Jefferson, which is why they took him, as basically expecting him to be a Stephon Diggs replacement, essentially, which is pretty big shoes to fill. I just don't think that the volume is going to be quite the same. I think it's going to take a little bit of a step backwards from an overall passing standpoint, although Thielen should eat up more targets without Diggs in tow. But I think that Dalvin Cook is going to be potentially even more utilized in the passing game than what we've seen from him in the past. It's fringe for me. Like, I think that it's very fringe. It could happen. I'm not saying that he's going to be like a wide receiver 20 plus. He's going to be right around that mark, but I think I would sell it just by a few spots and have him at like wide receiver 14, 15. Like, I think that he's going to be close, but I don't think that he cracks it.
All right, Okada.
Do you feel confident about his health, Betz?
I can't answer that question until you tell me your answer.
Oh, no. Well, I was leaning towards sell.
It's a
trap.
trap.
I'm definitely going to sell. Listen, I forgot how much of a bust Adam Thielen was last year. I just went and took a quick check because, I don't know, it doesn't feel like he was that bad, but he played 10 games, so he missed 6, which was already rough. But then in those 10 games, only 418 yards on 30 catches. That is not good.
Not good.
That's very bad, actually. So
it's not good.
Tag analysis.
Not good.
Not good.
I think I might even fall more towards John's side that he could, or more towards what John said he wasn't, which is that he may fall as low as wide receiver 20 or beyond. And I don't know, guys. I'm getting this sneaky feeling that I might like Justin Jefferson more than Adam Thielen in this year. That's probably a little insane, but I think they're probably a lot closer than people think.
That's a bit hot.
That's very hot, I think.
It is. It's a spicy.
Guys, I buy my own prediction.
Oh,
And so let me go back to the health real quick, and then I'll talk about
okay.
his performance. So yeah, I mean, last year was, like you said, complete bust year, especially considering what he did the year before. And the game logs are unreal. That was the year, if you guys remember, like weeks 1 through like 10, every week it was a touchdown. It was like 60 to like 100 yards and a touchdown every week. It was gold. But last year, it just fell off with the hamstring issues. And, I'm usually like team no hamstrings.
Anti-hamstring, yeah.
But when you look at Adam Thielen's overall longevity in his career, this is really the only knock from his health perspective. So there definitely is some risk going into the season. I'm not going to say there isn't, because there is with every single player that has these recurring soft tissue injuries. But guys, the depth chart, like you said, is Justin Jefferson, who I like, but he's a rookie. And what is the offseason program? We don't know.
Right.
It's BC Johnson and Tajay Sharp. Like, if you're telling me Adam Thielen is not going to get at least 120 targets, I'd be absolutely shocked. And for Adam Thielen, going back to the last 2 seasons, when he averages 8 or more targets, here's the 16-game pace, okay? 125 receptions, 1,632 yards, and 13 touchdowns just in those games where he gets 8+ targets. I don't see a path for failure outside of injury for Adam Thielen, even in an offense that probably is going to rely on the running game a ton, with Gary Kubiak, who loves to get the running back involved in the passing game and obviously on the ground as well. But I just think, looking at that depth chart, the chemistry with Kirk Cousins in a weird offseason, I think Adam Thielen's going to return wide receiver 1 value, and you're going to be able to get him, I think, in like the 4th round this year because of what happened last year.
Maybe later, to be honest.
Here's something quick, as another quick pushback, Betz. I don't know if everyone remembers this as well, but what you said about his 2018 season was 100% true for the first half. Yeah. Then he was crap for the second half. So it was
literally like a perfect
18
split.
Straight games. Yes. I just pulled it up really quick. Over his last 18 games, which is more than a full season, only 69 catches, 866 yards. 2 games with 100+ yards. Yes, the hamstrings messed up last season, but it was 8 games prior to that he wasn't good. So I don't know, man. He flashed like a beast at the beginning of 2018, but for a long while now, he's been disappointing me. I don't think I'm willing to buy in.
And he's 29, 30?
He is 29 and 267 days. He'll turn 20. He'll turn 30 right before the season.
So he'll be 30 when the season starts, coming off of soft tissue injuries in an offseason where he lost his counterpart that's going to require more coverage from the defense. So they know that they're going to be able to put the number 1 dude on Adam Thielen and let Justin Jefferson cook against the number 2. I don't love it.
Oh, boy. I'm taking Justin Jefferson, guys. Justin Jefferson over Adam Thielen. Starting the campaign now.
Jefferson, let's go.
What's great about fantasy football and this analysis is that we can just spin it in whatever way we like better.
Hashtag analysis.
And it sounds good.
True.
Like, if I would have not said what I just said and I heard John talk, I'd be like, yeah, dude, screw Adam Thielen. Like, he's going to be terrible this year.
F that guy.
I think, I like the points I said. I think he's there. So I buy the top 12 season. Obviously, you two are selling. Really interesting player. Like, again, range of outcomes massive for Adam Thielen.
Huge.
So
I think it's risky. So it depends on where you're drafting him and the rest of your roster. I mean, if he's going in the 4th, 5th, maybe 6th, depending on the draft, I could see him falling to the 6th. I could absolutely see that happening. If you can snag him as your wide receiver 2 and you already have 2 stud running backs and a quarterback in front of that in Superflex, I'd take a flyer on that. A flyer in the 5th or 6th round. But I think that the risk is baked into that ADP, and I would take the gamble on that.
Yeah, if I can get him there, I'm very excited.
Yeah.
All right, Okada, back to you, man. Hit us with your 3rd prediction.
All right, guys, this one's going to be, well, I won't say it's going to be a relatively quick one. I don't know how much we'll chat about it, but it is a quick one to say. If Odell Beckham Jr. plays 16 games, he will be a top 4 wide receiver in 2020. This has been something going around our Slack channel quite a bit. Arguing about Odell Beckham Jr. So I'm giving him the full 16, full health full 16 too, not just like a Julio Jones full 16. Does he crack the top 4?
I don't think so. I'm going to sell it. Browns are one of the teams I projected. And guys, I know I've said in the past and on this podcast, and I put it out on my social media, like I'm in on Odell, and I still am. I think he plays a full 16 this year. He's the type of player that I've looked at his injury history, analyzing it. It doesn't really seem to add up. So I'm confident in his rehab after the surgery. However, I don't know that the volume is going to be there for him. There is a realistic possibility that yet again, Jarvis Landry leads his team in targets, but I will never project it. It just might happen.
Pause. Everybody listening, buy or draft Jarvis Landry. Please, I beg you, get him on your roster. He is the most undervalued, consistent, top 16-ish fantasy wide receiver year in and year out. 80-plus receptions, 1,100-plus yards, 6 touchdowns last year. It's only going to get better with a healthy OBJ on the other side. Get Landry on your team. I beg you. If you have questions about his value, DM me. I will talk to you about it. But love Landry.
Yes, I agree. The most undervalued wide receiver in fantasy football, I think.
Absolutely.
Back to OBJ, though. If you would have said top 10, I would have said, yep, I'm buying it. Top 4, man, that's so tough. Like, you got to beat out Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, one of the Bucs receivers. I'm blanking on other names. Devontae Adams. Like, I don't see it happening. Top 10, I would buy. Top 4, I got to sell.
Yeah, I'm selling on that too. Same thing. It's volume based. Is he one of the top 3 most talented wide receivers in the NFL when fully healthy? Yes, I think that he is. Is the system that he's going to be coming into volume happy like Dallas or a situation similar to that? No, it's not. So I think that he's going to have a very strong bounce back campaign. I do think that he plays 16, like Betz says. I do think that he finishes as a wide receiver 1, like Betz says. I have no problem owning him. But top 4 is spicy when you've got Devontae Adams, editor's note, please go join that giveaway. When you've got Devontae Adams, that I think all of us are in agreement that he's got a strong chance at leading the NFL in receiving touchdowns this year. You've got Michael Thomas.
I think Odell Beckham Jr. has a sneaky strong chance to do that, by the way.
Buddy, if
this Browns offense is good, Odell is a guy who had 10 to 13 touchdowns each of his first 3 seasons as a young whippersnapper with a worse quarterback. On a worse offense.
No.
And Jarvis Landry is not a red zone threat.
Just straight up no.
No. But Hooper is. But Hooper is, and Njoku might be if they're going 2 tight end sets.
No, get that out of my face. Odell Beckham Jr. is by far the best touchdown threat in the red zone for that team.
I'm not saying by
far.
I'm not saying that David Njoku is a better red zone threat than Odell Beckham Jr. I'm not saying that. There's a lot of mouth to feeds in this offense. You're going to have Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt is going to be very active in the passing game, I think, especially down in the red zone. I think they're going to be running a ton of play action that has Kareem Hunt as being the one read. I think that happens a lot. So you've got that. You have Hooper. You have Jarvis Landry on quick-hitting slant routes. There's a lot of mouth to feed in the red zone down there. No, I don't think Odell Beckham Jr. is in the top 5 for receiving touchdowns this season. I don't think it happens.
Go ahead. Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
So I finished the Browns projections today. And after we talked on our Wednesday podcast, which came back, go check that out. Fantastic show, by the way, guys, on Wednesday.
Big facts.
Great. We talked about OBJ, and I was like, man, I want to see what this looks like in number format. So this is what I came out with. I gave him a 28% market share. I gave him 84 receptions, 1,100 yards, and 8 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It came out to 209 fantasy points, which is looking like a top 12 season. But I just couldn't give him more targets with the volume and the way that they use the running backs in Kevin Stefanski's system. Yeah. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. I don't know, man. It seems like it's possible. It just doesn't seem likely. I got to sell.
And the great thing is that I think that his yards per reception is going to be massive with all the play action. Like, he might only have 6 catches in a game that goes for 120 in a tutty. Like it could be that because of all the play action involved. But I don't think the volume's there, especially in PPR formats, for him to be sniffing the top 6, let alone the top 8. I think that if you've got him somewhere between 8 and 12, that feels about right to me. I don't think that he's got top 4 upside.
I would agree. Boom, roasted.
Okada,
yeah, nothing else.
Well, I mean, I think that my main defense is just the touchdowns, which is interesting because I don't disagree too much with Betts' numbers. I think I'd probably give him a few more yards on those 84 receptions, but I'm going to give him 4+ touchdowns over Betts' mark of 8. I mean, I don't know if I'll project it, but I think it's very, very possible. I honestly see him as much of a touchdown threat this year as anyone in the league except for maybe Devontae Adams. I would take Odell for touchdowns over Hopkins. I would take him over Jones for sure. I would take him over Cooper. Give me other names and I'll probably say it.
Mike Evans.
Yeah, I'll take him over Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans is probably 9 or 10, but I think Odell has the best chance outside of Devontae Adams to have more than 10 touchdowns. And so I think that's what gets him, for me, up to a point where if he plays all 16, he's a top 4 guy.
I'm going to make a bold prediction. It's not because I'm a homer, I promise.
Oh, gosh. DK Metcalf?
DK Metcalf has more receiving touchdowns than Odell Beckham Jr.
Oh, shoot. Lock it in. Where is the bets?
You want it?
Yes.
Let's go.
Why
shake?
Right.
I'm putting that one down as well. We just talked about David Montgomery's stats last time.
Betz, are you in on any of these bets? Your name is Betz. You should be.
Yeah.
Hashtag Betz.
Betz.
Yes.
That's the thing. We've been talking about it. It needs to happen.
I'm in on the David Montgomery stat total of 1,200 yards and 9 total touchdowns. I'm in on Odell Beckham over DK Metcalf.
Oh.
Okay. Write it down.
Alrighty.
It's on the book. All right, John, back to you, man. Hit us with your last prediction.
Betz. Now, because I enjoy my friends, I like both of you quite a bit, which is why I gave Okada a Brandon Ayuk segment.
That's true.
It's true. I love you guys, and I'm very grateful for your friendship. And no, this is not sappy hour, but my bold prediction here: Miles Sanders won Mr. Matthew Betz. Miles Sanders will have more receptions than Alvin Kamara.
Oh, now you're tugging on my heart, John. Ooh. I don't even know what to say about this.
That's tough. I know what to say.
I like this one a lot.
I know what to say because I'm gonna buy it pretty quick.
Let's go.
Wow. I like
it. Here's the thing. Alvin Kamara is gonna have. Well, Alvin Kamara would have 81 receptions this year because that's the only thing he does is have 81 receptions. Except that they added Emmanuel Sanders, who is, I don't think inarguably, no, I think he's inarguably the best wide receiver 2 that the Saints have had in Kamara's time there. They've had doo-doo butter behind Michael Thomas in his other seasons there. And I believe in Jared Cook continuing to be a productive tight end. Yes. So
doo-doo butter.
And meanwhile, you got over on the Eagles, you got a lot of speed, yes, with the receivers that they drafted, but you don't have a lot of possession guys. You don't have a lot of high target guys. And Zach Ertz, who would be the guy, the possession tight end, he's getting a little older, man. He's not a spring chicken anymore. So I think Miles Sanders has a very good chance to be top 3, 4, 5 in running back receptions. And I think Alvin Kamara drops down just a little bit from his standard number of 81. So I'm going to go ahead and buy this.
Okay. Spicy. I like it.
This is tough. I'm trying not to be biased in my analysis here because clearly the track record says, don't even think about it. This is easy, Kamara. But Okada made some great points there. And I don't trust the Eagles pass catchers, man. I just don't. I mean, Alshon Jeffrey's foot is a major red flag for me. He is not on my draft board at all this season. Shouldn't be on yours either. And when you look at the other wide receivers, they're all rookies or an aging veteran, Marquise Goodwin, who's a deep threat. JJ Arcega-Whiteside in year 2. What is he? We have no clue.
Nope.
I mean, Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz could be the team's wide receiver 1 and 2. Again, like we saw last year, making Miles Sanders the de facto 3 in terms of target share and in terms of receptions. And everyone always wants to say with Miles Sanders and with the Eagles, they always use an RBBC. You can't trust these guys. Even if that happens, which I think Doug Peterson just plays the hand he's dealt, which has been average to below average running back play in the NFL at this point with the Eagles. I think he's going to be willing to use Miles Sanders in the passing game versus whatever aging veteran he brings in, whether it's Carlos Hyde or a Lamar Miller or someone like that. So I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy it, man. I think Miles Sanders is in for a very, very big season this year. John, what do you think, man? This is your prediction. Are you buying or selling?
Yeah. So here's the thing. When I talked about Miles Sanders over the last couple months, and I was like, man, I just don't know. I think that Miles Sanders might be a guy that is locked more into a committee with everything going on there with their coaching with Peterson. I expected them to invest more highly in a complementary running back, and then they didn't. They did not bring in anyone to threaten Miles Sanders. And as soon as the NFL draft ended, I was like, oh, okay, it's his backfield. This is Miles Sanders time, like 70% of the way. Even if they bring in a Carlos Hyde, this is Miles Sanders. In his rookie season, he had 50 catches on 63 targets. And he didn't really even get going in that offense until week 8, I think. Something like that. So he had 50 receptions in a rookie season where Jordan Howard was the guy early until he got hurt. I think I'm on par with this. I'm in agreement with all of you. I'm buying my own hot take here. I think that Miles Sanders is the focal point of that offense in multiple ways, rushing and passing. And even if they do bring in a veteran like El Guapo, I still think that this is his backfield in terms of carries. And no, he's not going to be a 300 carry guy. Get him 225 like we've talked about previously, and then go out and give him 90 targets. I think that that's entirely possible if that happens over the course of the season.
If that happened.
Yeah, give him an Austin Eckler role with more carries. Dude, Miles Sanders is hot in fantasy football. So hot right now. I think that he's going to get more receptions than Alvin Kamara. I really do think that happens. I think Emmanuel Sanders carves out a big role in that offense. Not massive, but big enough to put a pretty good dent in the Alvin Kamara receiving upside that we've seen in PPR.
Interesting discussion there. Man, I'm getting excited for Miles Sanders again. We got to move on. All right, boys. Last prediction of the show. We've had some pretty spicy takes, and this one isn't very spicy. It's kind of boring because of the player we're talking about, but the actual take is relatively spicy. What do you guys think about Teddy Bridgewater as a top 15 fantasy quarterback in 2020?
Oh, 15.
Yes, I'm in.
Whoa! Okay.
Yeah.
You didn't even think about that.
No. Listen.
Pull on the trigger.
This was arguably the best thing for Teddy Bridgewater from a fantasy perspective. I think that this offense, the scheme, the players, everything is set up for him to do well. The defense is a massive question mark because they were so terrible last year, one of the worst in the league. But then they spent all their freaking draft picks on defense, so they really knew they had to address it. I don't think it translates quick enough for their defense to suddenly become above average. So I think they're still going to have a bad defense. John talked earlier about this division and how it's going to be a foot race every game. And Teddy Bridgewater is going to be captaining a foot race where he gets to throw very easy passes to Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, and Curtis Samuel. If you told me to pick a set of weapons for Teddy Bridgewater, it would look a heck of a lot like this. You gave me the whole NFL to choose from. This is a perfect situation for him. I think he is going to thrive in this system and have every opportunity to have a great fantasy season. So I'm considering him in my top 13 or 14 even. I don't know if I'll be able to get him that high, but giving me top 15 is just enough for me to feel good about it. So buy. Like the Backstreet Boys, or is it Instinct? Which one is it? I don't know.
That's JT, dude.
I think it's In Sync. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but he was in one of those bands.
In Sync.
I think he was in Sync.
It's
All
In
right.
Sync. Come on.
Bye.
Get your 90s boy bands on lock.
Listen, man, I have no shame in not knowing the difference between NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, okay?
I have no
I will
shame
take
in
that to
not
my
knowing
grave.
the difference. I have no shame in not knowing the difference between those two.
Man.
I posted It's Gonna Be May poem on April 30th. It did happen.
There you go.
I was apprehensive of that at first when you said it. Giving myself a minute and a half of Okada pontificating was just enough time for me to wrap my head around it, and I'm going to buy it as well.
Nice.
Let's go.
15 feels like that cutoff for him. Like that was a great number for you to pick. If you had said like 18, like a mid-range RB or quarterback 2, yeah, I'd smash that. I think he's going to be a mid to upper quarterback 2. 15 makes it just elevated a little bit more, where this is a really good place to put that line. I agree with everything that Okada is saying. His average depth of target is probably going to be like 5 yards on the entire season, and it's going to just be quick hitters, high completion percentage. If you tell me that he throws a 68% completion percentage, I'm not going to be shocked at all. It's going to be DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield, Ian Thomas at tight end. It's going to be such quick hitting offense. Get the playmakers the ball in space. We saw this in that Joe Brady offense at LSU, where it was quick hit this short, dunk this here, and then shot over the top in that LSU offense. That's what's going to happen with this. The defenses are going to be so focused on 5 yards from the line of scrimmage and who's getting the ball and the quick movement and motions and all this stuff, that all of a sudden DJ Moore is going to run a deep post over the top on a play action with Christian McCaffrey, and he's going to house one from 70 yards out. It's going to be a great offense. It's going to fit Teddy Bridgewater incredibly well. The completion percentage is going to be great. Not only that, all of these playmakers are fantastic yard after the catch. He's going to throw the ball 4 yards, and his playmaker is going to get him 20 on it.
Easy. I was just going to say, I think he could lead the league in yards after catch.
Yeah, his passing yards are going to be like 4,400, even though like 3,000 of them were air yards. Like it's going to be insane, the difference between the two. The yards after the catch is going to favor him incredibly greatly. DJ Moore on a quick hitter, Curtis Samuel, Ian Thomas, Christian McCaffrey, get the ball into one of these playmakers' hands inside the red zone. They've got a great chance at finding a way to get that into the end zone, which only helps his stats even more. I am digging it. I'm buying this on Teddy B. I think it's a fantastic landing spot for him, and he's just the kind of facilitator that offense needs.
I don't have much else to add. I mean, you guys made all my points for me. Teddy Bridgewater, I mean, it's May, so things change, but he's my favorite, like, late round quarterback to draft, or even not even draft. Like, he is going at, like, quarterback 25, 26. In dynasty startups, you can get him as your quarterback 3 without even thinking twice about it. I just made a trade for him the other day. John, in a league we played in together. He's just not valued as that, high-end quarterback 2, what he is going to be in fantasy, and potentially quarterback 1, because of the reasons you guys mentioned. The defense, absolutely atrocious. And listen to the names that they lost on defense. We're not even talking about their draft picks, like James Bradbury, gone. Luke Kuechly, gone. Mario Addison, gone. Bruce Irvin, gone. Like, who is going to be playing defense for the Panthers?
They lost Shaq Thomas.
I think so, yeah. They are going to be...
Tampa? Didn't he go interdivision?
I don't know about that off the top of my head.
I'll look it up.
But they are going to be behind in every game they play. And if you're going to be passing the football, like you guys said, this weapon group is the team you want. The system is the team you want. And it's going to be up tempo. LSU ran 72 plays per game last year, which would have ranked first in the NFL.
That's a lot of plays.
This is recipe for success in fantasy football. And if you're not in on Teddy Bridgewater, you're going to miss out on fantasy goodness in 2020. Fellas, one last stat to close out the show. I love this stat. PFF has a metric. They look at like the time it takes to throw the football. Teddy ranked 13th in their metric as far as the quickest. When he got the ball out of his hands in less than 3 seconds, his passer rating improved from 87.6 to over 108.
Woo!
I'm just saying, this is like Teddy B, the point guard, is going to win fantasy weeks for you this year, and you're going to get him at a super cheap price. Yep, distribute the ball. Christian McCaffrey all over the field anymore. Yeah, I'm in.
Give me those Carolina Atlanta games all day long for fantasy.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, those twice this season, those 2 games are going to be like 42-35. It's going to be fantastic for fantasy.
Yeah. All right, boys, I am officially hyped about Miles Sanders and Teddy Bridgewater to close out the show. Reminder to the listeners, if you like what you're hearing, drop that rating and review in your podcast app. You are going to get an entry automatically, actually 3 entries for doing so, into the Devonta Adams giveaway. Check out the post on our Twitter. Check out the post on our Instagram. Join Patreon. Get those extra entries. Get that Devonta Adams jersey, guys. It is so freaking sweet. Fellas, we're back next week. Anything else for the people before we close it out?
Odell Beckham Jr., wide receiver 1.
No.
Yeah. We got no more time for arguing, guys. We got to get out of here. Follow Okada at Matt Okada. I am at the Fantasy PT. John is at Dynasty Beard, and the show account is at Redshirts FF Pod. Until next time, we are the Redshirts.